Okay. I'd like to show a few of the family members that are involved during the Cristero Revolution, and then some friends of my family as well. I'm starting out with Juan Muñoz Alvarez del Castillo Garcia, my grandfather on my father's side. He was very instrumental in working with the Cristeros of that time frame to have a place for respite, a camp or a headquarters that they would call home there in Los Altos de Jalisco, as well as a place to either rejuvenate the horses and or heal some of the horses and give them fresh horses to go out and fight the federal forces. There were about 40 men that would come alongside the generals of that time frame, and my grandfather would feed not only the soldiers but would feed the horses as well. His background is that the family came from Spain back in the early 1600s and settled there in Jalisco. Juan Muñoz Alvarez del Castillo Garcia actually ran a family farm of about 2,000 acres, and it was a farm with live animals, livestock, as well as a ranch. And there were many products that he would farm, but he also then had livestock as well. And it was at this place that the Cristeros, with the general known as Victoriano el-14 Ramirez, called home when they stormed Arandas, Jalisco City Hall and set fire to the documents and City Hall. That night they came onto my grandfather's property and took it as headquarters, and it was their headquarters for about 3 years time frame. Juan Muñoz Alvarez del Castillo Garcia did not take up any arms. He wasn't called a Cristero, but during that time frame he actually had to hold a passport that said he wasn't a Christian, and it was only with that passport that he was allowed to travel between his ranch and the other adjoining cities in that area. I suspect he was also a gun runner during that time because he had this passport, and he could then allow the Cristero soldiers to have the ammunition they needed, the money that they needed in order to buy their goods, but also a place they called home. This photo is of Victoriano el-14 Ramirez, and he was the general who came onto the ranch, my grandfather's ranch of Rancho Las Cruces in Los Altos de Jalisco. And Victoriano Ramirez was a local man. He was born and raised in Jalisco. He was a very simple man, but he knew all the back roads. He was a great horseman and an incredible sharpshooter. And he rallied then young men, as well as men of his age range, to fight the federal government. El-14 Ramirez was a legend in his time. He received his nickname El-14, which means number 14, because he was known to have perhaps killed 14 men in one fell swoop by using one gun in that day. The men came to attack him, and he was able to kill them off, almost like a David and Goliath story. And so El-14 called Rancho Las Cruces, my grandfather's ranch, his home for 3 years' time during the Cristero Revolution. He lost many men, he lost many horses, but he is still perhaps a living legend that many people will be coming to know through the movie For Greater Glory that stars Andy Garcia.